Welcome to the show, everybody. It's the Crypto Lark. Today, we're going to be talking about AION, Interchain Operability, Blockchain 3.0, Customize, Create, Connect your blockchain with AION. We're going to be getting into just what that means after a quick shout out to everyone who's been hitting that like button, and of course, everybody who's been subscribing to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you hit that button or the bell down below to stay up to date with all of the latest in the crypto space. Furthermore, this is, of course, not professional financial advice. This is just a dude talking about cryptocurrencies on the internet. Let's get into it. Now, the team over at AION are working on a very interesting project. This is a multi-tier blockchain network, which is giving not just the protocol in the standard for interchain communication. So this will allow dissimilar chains to talk to each other, the first iteration of that being Ethereum, but it will also act as a medium for transferring not just logic, but also, of course, value across chains. Very interesting. Now, in order to be a AION compliant blockchain, you must, of course, meet some certain standards, being decentralized, able to recognize the interchain protocol, and being aware of bridge consensus protocol. Those are all things that the blockchains will need to do in order to become part of the AION network. There will be an AION virtual machine. Now that virtual machine, of course, will allow for smart contracts in the running of dApps, of course. Now, they will be working on federation. So this is really allowing multiple pairs of chains to allow data and value to transfer back between those chains. They're going to be having a high performance virtual machine, which will allow for increased scalability. Now let's talk about the token here. The token is very interesting because it has a lot of features to it. It's going to, of course, be allowing for the development of apps, but it's actually going to be used to build the bridges. Now this will actually function as that communication protocol between the chains. It will also allow you to make new blockchains on the AION network. So this will be on AION 1. You'll be able to build blockchains off of that. And there's some interesting future concepts that are going to be coming in quite a bit later, but they're working on and certainly thinking about. And that's actually pegging the AION token to a value, pegging it to security, and pegging it to AION for decentralization. So if you have a blockchain that's kind of weak on decentralization, well, you can peg it to AION to increase your decentralization or to increase your security, or of course peg it for value as well. This will be a hybrid model of proof of stake and what they're calling proof of intelligence. So 60% of it will be done on proof of stake. 40% will be proof of intelligence, which will essentially be an AI-focused proof of work system. There's very interesting things as well. Now, the team here, listed in alphabetical order, quite nice. Quite a large team, a lot of engineers, a lot of developers, which I really, really like to see. Too often we see teams that are very light on engineers and very light on developers, and these guys definitely have that taken care of. Now, Matthew Spoke here is the CEO. Very interesting. Matthew Spoke also is part of this. This is the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. He sits on the board. Very interesting stuff. Now, the guys over at AION are also a headliner at the Ethereum Development Conference coming up in May. Of course, that'll be a very exciting conference for all the Ethereum development, but they're going to be a headliner at that event. So very cool to see that. Really a very, very well-connected team. Matthew Spoke, of course, being well connected within the Ethereum space, so definitely has the potential to really pull this off in a good way. Now, they've also nailed some amazing partnerships recently. They've got a blockchain interoperability alliance with AION and OneChain. Oh my God, that's pretty exciting. That's pretty exciting. I look, they've nailed down a lot of other partnerships too with Enigma, SingularityNet. Everybody loves SingularityNet, of course. and a lot of others. Metaverse, Sonum, Jax, Banecore, not to mention all these other players like Deloitte, for example, and the different venture capital firms that have invested. A lot of people see the massive utility in the AION network. So very exciting things here. This is going to really allow businesses to really fulfill that promise of blockchain that we've all been looking forward to. Now, having a look here at the roadmap, something to keep in mind, I think the important thing really to point out here is that we are not going to see the introduction of the first virtual machine until the end of the year. That's when we'll see the proof of intelligence consensus algorithm come out as well. You can see they're still working on writing the AION virtual machine technical paper, the bridging paper, the participating network paper. So we do have a while to go before we actually see this project come to fruition and actually get to the point where we need to really see it. Some exciting things as well. This has got a shout out from Charles Hoskinson. He was talking about how AION is one of the projects that he's, considering, or, gives an acknowledgement to as far as working on the interchain operability. A prominent fintech entrepreneur, Michelle Romanov, has also talked about it recently in a televised interview, which is pretty cool stuff as well. Now, the test net is up and going already. Obviously, we are waiting for, of course, the main net to come out. I think they're probably waiting to do marketing until then. We shall see, I suppose. Now, one thing too here is that interchain operability is going to be huge. If you imagine the situation right now, we've got all these different blockchains which aren't really talking to each other. They're all creating value and executing things and transferring value, etc., etc., etc. But they're not talking to each other. When the blockchains actually start talking to each other, this is, of course, going to be really big. In order to reach the promise of blockchain technology, of that interconnected world where we have immutable data and all these different things, the blockchains have to talk to each other. They can't live in this void of non-connectiveness. We need them to be interconnected. That's why projects like Nebulous will be so exciting in the future, as they offer that way to search across all blockchains. Of course, AION, different project looking to connect all of the blockchains, which is, of course, very exciting. If you imagine the future, there may be millions of different blockchains, and projects like AION Network might find themselves at the center of all of that action. Now, they are not the only ones working on interoperability, and I think that's important to point out. Arc has been around for a while already, and they've got a very dedicated group of developers, and they do kind of have that first mover advantage, even though, yes, Arc is still under development. It largely anyway. I mean, Arc is up and running too. They're actually here already. This is two ways to get to the same place, essentially. The guys over at AION are very well connected, and they're really looking to create an industry standard for the space. Arc is a great competitor. I think there's room for, of course, plenty of interchain operability projects in the cryptocurrency space. It won't all go to AION. It won't all go to Arc. It won't all go to either two of those companies. There'll be more that come along. But this is an incredibly promising one within that space, as it's developing already, of course. Now, currently, AION's market cap is below $200 million, which is certainly not too bad at all, considering we have seen it much higher. Back in mid-January, it was all the way up in the 600 million range, so we've seen it decline by 66% in this tough market. I think it's a project that does have a lot of potential moving forward, so something you can put your eyes on if you think that interchain operability is going to be a big thing in the future. These guys are certainly setting themselves up to be a potential real player in that space. Now, of course, you can always pick it up over on Binance. Of course it's on Binance, but also on KuCoin or Liqui Or should you feel like punishing yourself a little bit, go over to Ether Delta and you can probably pick some up there as well for all those out there who are, like to punish themselves. Anyway, guys, that is my thoughts on AION. I think it's a very powerful project, but you will let me know what you think about it in the comments section down below. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.